Okay, then welcome to today's Tech Nibble. Of course, a nibble is half a bite, and in today's short video, we're going to be looking at the new Xiaomi XRING O3, a new processor that's just been announced by Xiaomi. So I've taken the slides that were all published in Chinese. I've used some machine translation, kind of got the slides here. So let's go through what I can understand from these slides. The big number that is probably more important in Asia than it is in the West is the Antutu score, and they're really pushing the fact it's scored over 5 million. But below that, the things that interest me: 3 nanometers, 133 square millimeters of chip die, and that's up from 109 square millimeters for the XRING O1. 24 billion transistors, up from 19 billion transistors. This is a really sophisticated chip with the latest kind of bits of everything. So it's a monster of it. It's a flagship chip. This isn't anything else than that. So on the CPU side, what have we got here? 10 core full prime architecture and a multi-core score that breaks 15,000 for the first time. And if you look here to that little graph, they're showing that it beats the multi-core score of the Apple A19 Pro. And they've got the individual scores given here. That actually, this 3,945 for single core is actually pretty impressive as well. And this multi-core score is 60% higher than the XRING O1. Now, what can we detect from this? Well, first of all, the 10 core setup of the O1 was 2 times ARM Cortex X925s, basically 6 A725s at 2 different sets of frequencies, and then A520. So it's a 2 plus 4 plus 2 plus 2, or a 2 plus 6 plus 2, depending on how you want to look at it. Now, this clearly says here it's a 6 plus 4, so that's a very, very different way of looking at things. It's going to be really interesting to see how they've put that together. But what clues can we also see? Well, here it says dual SME acceleration units. Now, we know that the ARM C1 Ultra, C1 Pro, etc., and I've got videos about those here on this channel, included a single SME2 acceleration unit. So it doesn't specifically say it's ARM, but their O1 core used lots of ARM, and now we've got the new chip, and it's likely going to also be using ARM, but we've got this dual SME acceleration unit, so it's certainly not a C1 Ultra or C1 Pro combination. So could this be the successor, which we're currently calling the C2 Ultra, just because C2 comes after C1? We don't know yet. ARM hasn't announced its new CPUs yet. This is kind of information that Xiaomi are kind of, teasing us with, but my money is on that this is the C2 Ultra, and the C2 Ultra setup, in however it comes, is going to include double the SME acceleration unit. So we're going to find out, obviously, at some point soon, because the launch of this thing is just around the corner, and we're going to get more and more details. I'll talk more about that in the very last slide, in fact. And when it comes to the GPU, again, more clues about the connection with ARM. We've got this industry first 16 core G2 Ultra NX. Now, that's an unannounced GPU. No one's talked about launching a G2 Ultra NX, but we do know that ARM has a G1 Ultra GPU. So this sounds again like the G2 is the successor to the G1. G2 Ultra, we've got this NX thing at the end. So what does that mean? Well, down here it says it's got 8 NX neural network units. So NX seems to imply here the neural stuff. Now, ARM has announced that it's bringing dedicated neural accelerators into future ARM Mali GPUs coming from ARM this year. And I have a video on a demo of a game they showed called Neural Dawn. And with the release of that, it talked about it's coming. Neural Dawn can run on an upcoming GPU, they say, and they talked about these dedicated neural accelerators. Again, I've got that video here on this channel. So you tie all that together. ARM have announced new neural accelerators. It's called the G2 Ultra. So this looks like it's ARM's latest GPU with these neural accelerators incorporated in. What else can we see? The GPU performance is up 85%. That's compared to the O1, which had the Immortalis GPU in it. So it didn't have the G1 Ultra in it. Greater ray tracing performance, better power consumption. So there we go. Lots of interesting things here. Big GPU with neural accelerators and ray tracing, faster, lower power usage, looking pretty impressive. Xiaomi also include their own NPU inside of their phones. Again, lots of interesting things here. What's interesting to me is these numbers they're giving here. 200 tops, 3.13 teraflops of vector computing power. Now, these are huge numbers, especially compared to the number of tops that we were talking about just a few years ago, 15 tops, 20 tops, 30 tops. Now we're up to 200 tops, which sounds like an amazing number. So we'll have to see how that turns out in real life. Xiaomi are saying they're running their own custom version of their MIMO model on it. It's designed for the edge. It'll be interesting to see what that means in real terms. Also, this is the first device they're saying that supports LPDDR6. So the previous chip supported LPDDR5X, which had this megabits per second of 9,600. We're now up over 10,667 megabits per second. And there's also a 48% bandwidth improvement. And now they also mentioned the camera, the display, the video. Two things I wanted to underline. One is here it talks about their video codec now supports H.266 hardware decoding. So we're used to, of course, H.264, H.265. H.266 is now kind of knocking around. It's not really seeing the light of day, but now we're starting to see it. H.266 hardware decoding, not encoding, but just decoding, which is very, very interesting. And also, there's a RISC-V core included on board here, which is for security. So that will be interesting if we ever get more details about that. And the final thing to note is that they have also kind of released on social media, on Chinese social media, that the Xiaomi 18 series flagship lineup, that's the Xiaomi 18 Fold, will launch with the XRING O3 processor, and at the same time the Xiaomi Pad 9 Pro Max will also be equipped with the XRING O3. So two devices we know are coming in September with these devices. Now, if these are being launched in September, that means we can pretty much expect in the same time frame for ARM to announce these C2 and G2 CPU, GPU, whatever they end up being, that kind of Xiaomi have pointed at here. Okay, that's your tech nibble for today. See you in the next one.